Last week, sensational sophomore Alan Pinkett rushed for a career-high 217 yards and 4 touchdowns against Penn State. But the Irish, despite playing well, came up just short. Coach Jerry Faust's team still has a shot at a bowl game, and today they must get by the second leading rushing team in the nation, Air Force. Join us as Notre Dame fights to stay alive.
ESPN, the Total Sports Network, presents College Football 83. From Notre Dame Stadium in Notre Dame, Indiana, it's the Falcons of the Air Force Academy and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
It is a surprisingly mild day for late November, 64 degrees. The wind will be a factor. It's blowing out of the south. The field condition is excellent. And for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, it's a matter of trying to stop the second leading rushing attack in the nation behind only Nebraska. Now we have the toss of the coin, and for the seniors, George, their last game at Notre Dame Stadium. That's always quite a feeling, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. You spend 4 years at Notre Dame, Indiana. The final game, the last time you wear the football uniform of the Fighting Irish. It's a very emotional thing for the players.
The broadcast cablecast rights to this game are granted by the University of Notre Dame to Metro Communications Incorporated. Any rebroadcast or other use of this game without written consent is prohibited. The announcers on this telecast have been selected by Metro Communications Incorporated in consultation with the University of Notre Dame. Air Force has won the toss. They will receive at the north end of the stadium. Notre Dame will kick off from the south end. In this series, Air Force has won just one game, and that was a crushing defeat of Notre Dame last year that knocked them out of a bowl 30-17 at Colorado Springs.
And Air Force was very dominant in that game, leading 17-0. They came out in the second half on a 3rd and 2. Marty Louthan, the quarterback, tried a quarterback sneak, went 55 yards, and they went up by another touchdown, and Notre Dame never recovered. Now this gives the Air Force the thought that they can beat Notre Dame. Up until last year, they had not won a game, and that's very important in the thinking of the Air Force today. They know they can beat Notre Dame if they play well.
And, of course, they have bowl aspirations also, having come into this game going 7-2 and one game after this one remaining for Air Force. That's at San Diego State on December 3rd. Notre Dame leading in the series 11-1. John Carney, the freshman walk-on, will kick off. And the deep man for Air Force and solo safety is Jeff Huff.
And Air Force has had an extra week of practice. They had a bye last week, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Irish of Notre Dame.
And we're set for the opening kickoff as John Carney from Jupiter, Florida, ready to do the booting. He has been outstanding all year. Driving kick. This will not be returned. Another typical John Carney kickoff. It'll be 1st and 10, Air Force at their 20-yard line. Notre Dame with a switch at the linebacker spot. Taking the place of Joe Bars is a freshman by the name of Robert Banks. He's 6'3", 230 pounds. There's Marty Louthan, the man he'll try to stop. Banks comes out of Hampton, Virginia, and he's an outstanding athlete, and I think his role today is going to be to try to disrupt that flex bone offense of Air Force. Marty Louthan, the quarterback, calling signals. Inside handoff, Kershner, nowhere. Mike Gann right there to stop John Kershner for no gain. Might have lost a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 11. There's the offense for Air Force. Of course, they're led by Marty Louthan, who has rushed for 648 yards and 15 touchdowns. The offensive line, they're quick. They're not particularly big. Here's Louthan, senior quarterback from Eugene, Oregon. Notre Dame with 6 men up front. Inside handoff, Kershner. He goes nowhere. Mike Gann is there again, and there are penalty markers down on the play. So Notre Dame, who used a 4-man front against Air Force last year, now going to as many as 6 on the line of scrimmage, George.
Very aggressive on defense, Notre Dame. Golick charging hard. Mike Gann. Notre Dame is fired up. There's a flag on the play.
Penalty against Notre Dame, it appears. So it'll be 2nd down and 5, a 5-yard offside penalty against Notre Dame. So it'll be 2nd and 5 for Air Force. Rick DiBernardo has come in.
Defense, still 2nd down.
DiBernardo is coming at a linebacker spot, replacing Rick Naylor. 2nd down and 5 call for the Air Force Academy. So far, Lauthan has tried to hand the ball to his leading ground gainer, John Kershner, and Kershner has been able to get nothing, although the penalty gives the Air Force a 2nd down and 5. Lauthan keeps, and he is spilled from behind on a good defensive play by Greg Dingens. Dingens stopping Lauthan short of a 1st down at about the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
Lauthan is the key to this offense. He's 6'1", 188, and he can run, and he's a great ball handler. His coach, Ken Hatfield, calls him the best wishbone quarterback or flexbone quarterback in the country. He makes this offense go.
Lauthan last year rushed for 115 yards against Notre Dame. It's a 3rd down and 1 Air Force. They have the ball at their own 29-yard line. Kershner gets the call, and Kershner gets the 1st down before he's spilled by Mike Gann at the 32-yard line. Kershner is the all-time leading rusher for Air Force. Coming into this game, having rushed in his career for 2,505 yards. Finished with over 1,000 yards last year, and coming into this game, he has 713 this year.
Well, this is exactly what Air Force likes to do. They like to keep it on the ground, averaging 335 yards per game.
Lauthan on the rollout, looks to throw, and it's way over the head of the intended receiver. His intended receiver is their lone wideout, Mike Kirby. He was well covered on the play by Chris Brown and Stacy Turan. And it'll be 2nd down and 10 for Air Force. The ball at their own 32.
Kirby's caught 32 passes. He's caught 75% of all the passes thrown. The next leading receiver, Mike Brown, the halfback, has only caught 10. So Kirby is the main target.
And he's a big play man. He averages 23 and 1/10 yards per catch. He goes out, and Tom Coleman comes in at the wideout for Air Force. On a 2nd down and 10 call for Lauthan. Lauthan back to throw. Got his man at the 40-yard line, close to a 1st down. The tight end, Jerry Rose, a senior from Pasadena, Texas, making the reception. Knocked out of bounds by Rick Naylor and Pat Ballage. But it's enough for a 1st down.
And to show you how often they throw to the tight end, Jerry Rose, that's his 2nd completion of the season.
He had caught 1 pass coming into this game for 7 yards. They switched him from offensive guard to tight end. He's 6'2", 217. Kirby comes back in, and Tom Coleman goes out of the Air Force lineup on a 1st and 10 from their own 42. Lauthan is a 54% passer, and he's thrown for 1,023 yards.
And only 2 interceptions.
Lauthan looking upfield, fires, it is incomplete. Chris Brown and Stacy Turan all over Mike Kirby, the intended receiver, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, the Notre Dame defenders had him covered very well. In fact, I think the ball hit Kirby in the head because he couldn't see it coming. Lauthan likes to fake that play action and roll to the outside. Chris Brown, he's 2nd on the Irish with 5 deflections this season.
Also is intercepted, too. He's a senior playing in his final game at Notre Dame Stadium from Owensboro, Kentucky. It's a 2nd down and 10 call. Lauthan fading back to pass. Got his man wide open as Kirby. Turan had fallen to the turf, and Kirby was wide open. at the Notre Dame 38-yard line. First down, Air Force.
Louthan made a good play action fake to the left, and then Kirby put a good move on Stacy Toran, and he was wide open. He got 1 foot down before he went out of bounds.
First and 10, Air Force. They have the ball at the Notre Dame 38-yard line. Jeff Huff comes in offensively for the Air Force Academy, replacing Tom Coleman. Over the ball comes center Don Oberdeck, junior out of Richardson, Texas. First and 10. Louthan rolling out. Watch the throw up the middle. Incomplete. He was under heavy pressure. It was intended for Jeff Huff, and Mike Gann really pressured Louthan. It'll be second down and 10. Ken Hatfield, in his 5th year as the head coach of the Air Force Academy. Mike Gann, who had an outstanding game at Penn State last week, has picked up where he left off at State College. 6'5", 249-pound junior out of Lakewood, Colorado.
And Mike Gann is a hustler on defense. He uses his hands well. He has good speed and good size, and he always keeps going after that quarterback.
Kirby goes wide to the left on a second down and 10 call from the 38-yard line. Louthan keeping on the option play, and he's spilled by Rick Naylor at about the 33-yard line. There to aid in the tackle is Pat Ballage. A pickup by Louthan of about 5. It'll be third down and 5. Along with Louthan and John Kershner, the other running backs for Air Force Academy are Mike Brown, a junior from Kansas City, and Randy Jones, a sophomore. Brown does not carry often, but when he does, he picks up a lot of yards. Averages 8 2/10 yards per carry. Third down 5, Air Force. They have the ball at the Notre Dame 33-yard line. Louthan being blitzed, sacked by Joe Johnson. Johnson's 4th sack of the year, and the junior came in on a safety blitz and nailed Louthan before he could look around.
Johnson came flying in from that right defensive side. Louthan saw him coming, but he could do nothing about it. He was not going back very far. He only took about 3 steps. He couldn't get out of his tracks, and a good sack by Joe Johnson, his 4th of the season, and punting time for the Air Force Academy.
We have an excellent punter, Jeff Kubiak, a senior from Green Bay, Wisconsin, averages 42 9/10 yards per punt. Last year, he averaged 43 4/10 yards per punt, which would have been 11th in the nation, except he was shy 1 punt of being in the NC2A stats. Ball goes into the end zone, and Notre Dame will have it for the first time, first and 10 at their own 20-yard line. With a score, Air Force nothing, Notre Dame nothing. We'll be back after this. Kirby comes wide to the right. Coleman goes wide to the left on a second down and 9 call for Air Force at the Notre Dame 42-yard line. Louthan on the option play, has some running room, pitches back to Brown, and he's going down the sideline. He's into the end zone, and Air Force touchdown. From Louthan to Mike Brown, but he stepped out of bounds evidently at around the 15-yard line. Stepped out of bounds at the 15-yard line, but a substantial gain on a well-run option by Marty Louthan. Watch him.
Watch Louthan coming around, now coming around in motion, trailing him. There's Mike Brown, who's a speedster. Let's see if we can watch where he stepped out. Right along in here. A good call by the official. We can't see it, but he did step out. It's on the 15-yard line.
First and 10, Air Force at the Notre Dame 15-yard line. Louthan calling the signals. Louthan on the option play. He keeps and gets down to the 11 before he's ridden down by Joe Johnson at the 11-yard line, but a gain of 4. Louthan runs this Air Force flex bone so well, George. He's an outstanding quarterback.
Well, he's a magician with the ball, and Mike Brown, who made that long gainer, is starting today because Jody Simmons is kicked off the team for disciplinary reasons.
George Manley comes into the tight end spot for Air Force, a senior from Cedar Ridge, Colorado. It's a second down and 6 call for the Air Force Academy at the Notre Dame 11-yard line. Louthan on the option, pitching back again to Brown. Nothing there as Tony Furjanic and Chris Brown were right there to stop Mike Brown at about the line of scrimmage. It'll still be third. It'll be third down now and 6 for Air Force at the Notre Dame 11. Ken Hatfield sending in a play with his tight end Hugh Brennan, a sophomore. Third down and 6 for Air Force. Louthan brings him out. Hand off to Brown, not much there. He gets a couple of yards. Stopped by Greg Dingens at the 9-yard line. Well short of a first down. And it'll be 4th down and a long 2. They spot the ball at the 8-yard line for Air Force. And that'll be the end of the first quarter. That's the end of the first quarter from Notre Dame Stadium with the score. Notre Dame nothing, Air Force nothing. We'll be back after this. Gary Faust looking concerned as Air Force has moved the ball down to within field goal range, well in the range of Pavlik, who had a 57-yarder last year against Notre Dame.
Pavlik of 9 of 12 this year.
This will be a chip shot for him. Be a 25-yard field goal attempt. Derek Brown is the snapper for Air Force. Air Force with the ball at the Notre Dame 8-yard line. Gary Faust looking for a Liberty Bowl bid, reportedly against Boston College. Ken Hatfield also looking for a bowl bid. His Air Force Academy Falcons are 7-2. They've won 5 in a row, which is their longest winning streak since 1972. Fourth down play for the Academy, and they will attempt a field goal and try to get on the board. Starting the second quarter, it's 0-0, but Air Force attempting a 25-yard field goal. Zollinger to hold and Sean Pavlich to attempt the field goal. It is up and it is good. Pavlich, the field goal, and Air Force is taking a lead. 14:56 left to play in the first half, and it's Air Force 3 and Notre Dame nothing. Air Force is taking a 3-0 lead. Air Force will kick off. Notre Dame to receive. Doing the kicking for the Air Force Academy is Carlos Matios. He's a junior from Colorado Springs. Alonzo Jefferson is one of the deep men in the middle. Bill Jackson on the far side and Alvin Miller on the near side. Carlos Matios to kick off. And the ball is blown off the tee. Air Force will use a holder. DeJuan Wilson to hold. Things are right around 15 miles per hour. Driving kickoff, and this will not be returned. It goes out of the end zone, and Notre Dame will have it 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line.
There's a scoring drive, 9 plays, 46 yards, 352, 25-yard field goal by Pavlich.
1st and 10 Notre Dame. They have it at their own 20-yard line. Berline, the freshman quarterback. Over the ball comes junior center Mike Kelly. Pinkett gets the call, looks for a block from Brooks, and Pinkett from the near side runs out of bounds at about the 26-yard line after a pickup of 6. Pinkett driven out by Chuck Peterson, senior cornerback from Fort Worth, Texas. Second down and 4, Notre Dame. They have it at their own 26-yard line.
Pinkett now 48 yards and 8 carries.
Tom Derger has come in offensively to tackle spot, replacing Mike Perino for Notre Dame. And Alvin Miller, the freshman, is also in at a wide out. He is wide to the left. The running backs are Brooks and Pinkett behind Steve Berline. Second down and 4, Notre Dame at their own 26-yard line. Here's Alan Pinkett. Pinkett first down over the 30-yard line to the 31-yard line. So Pinkett 2 carries and a first down. Sean Smith brought him down, along with Tom Stanberry. But a pickup of 5 by Alan Pinkett. 1st and 10, Notre Dame.
Well, Notre Dame on short yardage scoring their double tight end. Power I formation, ran to the side of Brian Bamer, the first time they've done it this year, and he did an excellent job of blocking.
Play action for Berline. Throws one incomplete. He threw it behind Brooks, the intended receiver, at the 39-yard line. It'll be second down and 10, Notre Dame. So Berline has not been on target thus far this afternoon. It'll be second and 10. Berline 1 for 4, and the one completion was just a flat pass to Milt Jackson. Second down and 10, Notre Dame. They have it at their own 31-yard line. Jackson goes wide to the left. Joe Howard wide to the right. Three 0 Air Force. 14:25 to play in the first half. Berline gets a great block from Pinkett, overthrows his man, DeJuan Wilson, the intercept. He's at the Notre Dame 43-yard line before he's brought down by Milt Jackson, the intended receiver. Air Force blitz, and Alan Pinkett did a great job of picking up the blitz to protect Berline, but Berline completely overthrew his receiver.
Watch the corner of your screen. You'll see the blitz being picked up right over there, but overthrown. And DeJuan Wilson intercepts his 3rd pass of the year. It was a good interception. He had to go high for it. And Air Force has the ball in Notre Dame territory.
Air Force has enjoyed excellent field position. The Falcons lead 3-0, 14:16 to play here in the first half. 1st and 10, Air Force. They have the ball at the Notre Dame 43-yard line. Loudman on the option play, pitches back to Randy Jones, who gets inside the Notre Dame 40 to around the 39-yard line, driven out by Pat Ballage along with Rick Naylor. Pick up on the play of about 5 yards, though, by Randy Jones. It'll be second down and 5.
Well, Loughton is a magician at that ball. He hangs onto it, he hangs onto it, he waits right to the end. And now we've had a substitution in the Notre Dame defensive line. Tim Marshall in there for about the first time in 4 weeks.
Marshall 6'4", 257 pounds from Chicago. It's second down. They spotted at the 39, so it's second down and 6 for Loudon. Loudon throws the pass, incomplete. It was intended for Kirby, and he overshot his intended receiver. Well covered was Kirby by Stacy Turan and Chris Brown. So it is a 3rd down and 6 call for Air Force at the Notre Dame 39-yard line. 3-0 Air Force, 14:07 to play in the first half. Mike Gann has been shaken up. What a game he was having. And the Irish certainly hope that Gann will be able to return. 3rd down, 6 call for the Falcons. Kirby goes wide to the right, wide to the left is Tom Coleman. Janik right up on the line of scrimmage as a down lineman. Inside handoff, Kershner. First down inside the 30 to the Notre Dame 29-yard line. Finally stood up by Rick Naylor, but a 10-yard run by John Kershner in his first down, Air Force.
Kershner just running behind the blocking. They pulled the the right guard, and the defensive nose guard followed him, and Kershner, with good power and speed, crossed him up. Notre Dame looking for a pass. They ran it.
1st and 10 Air Force. They have it at the Notre Dame 28-yard line. Air Force leading 3-0. 13:45 to play in the first half. Louthan on the option play, has some running room, and then Chris Brown comes up from his defensive free safety to drop him at about the 25-yard line, a pickup of 3. He appeared to have some room, but Brown came up in a hurry, and it'll be 2nd down and 7.
The offensive line of Air Force is not that big, but the key to the blocking scheme up front was the center, number 51, Don Oberdick, 6'2", 232, and he makes the cutoff block on the nose guard. That allows the fullback, Kershner, to get up the middle.
2nd down and about 6 to go for Air Force inside the Notre Dame 25-yard line. Louthan on the option again. He keeps, and he's close to a 1st down. The ball is loose, but I believe the whistle had blown it dead. It had, and he has a 1st down at the 17-yard line of Notre Dame. Louthan, a great option quarterback, 6'1", 188-pounder. He's a senior from Eugene, Oregon.
It looked like Louthan was laying that ball out there to get the call on the 1st down. His knee was down, and the referee called it dead.
1st and 10 Air Force. They have the ball just outside the Notre Dame 17-yard line, well within Pavlich's field goal range.
Louthan with 29 yards in 11 carries. He's 648 yards on the season, 15 TDs, and a 5.6 average.
Inside handoff, Kershner. He fights his way for a couple down to about the 15-yard line before he is stacked up by Greg Dingens. But a gain on the play of 2 or 3. They spotted at the 14-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 7 for Air Force inside the Notre Dame 15-yard line.
Well, they keep hammering away with their fullback, Kershner, on the inside. He only picked up 2 yards. The Notre Dame inside linemen have to protect against that fullback coming in there every play. Then they start looking for the fullback. Louthan keeps it to the outside, keeps it himself, or pitches.
Marty Louthan on the option, penalty marker down, pitches back to Mike Brown. He's into the end zone, but there are flags down on the play. Louthan pitching back to the trailback Mike Brown, the junior from Kansas City, but there are penalty flags down on the play. They were thrown as soon as the ball was snapped. Illegal procedure penalty against Air Force will take the touchdown away.
Well, you said pitching back. It might have been pitching forward. Let's see. There he fakes to Kershner, just what we were talking about. The flag is down already. Yes, it was backward. He tipped
Illegal procedure, offense.
And the play is called back.
2nd down.
So it'll be 2nd down and 13 for Air Force. The ball back at the Notre Dame 21-yard line. Air Force leading 3-0. 11:41 left to play first half.
2nd down and 13.
Marty Louthan, he keeps. Louthan has some running room inside the 15 to the 13-yard line before he's stopped by Greg Dingens. But a substantial gain by Louthan. It'll bring up a 3rd down and about 5 for a 1st down for Air Force as Louthan picked up 8 yards.
Well, Louthan now 38 yards and 12 carries. He's a workhorse. He just keeps coming at you. The senior quarterback.
Jerry Rose comes in, the tight end, and going out is Mike Kirby on a 3rd down and 5 call. Tom Coleman goes wide to the right. Louthan on the option play, pitches back to Brown. He's stood up by Chris Brown. Fine defensive play by the senior from Owensboro, Kentucky, stopping Mike Brown shy of a 1st down at the 10-yard line. 4th down and 2, and Pavlich, the field goal kicker, appears to be coming on for Ken Hatfield. Pavlich, a senior from Prescott, Arizona. And this one will be a 26-yard try. Pavlich has been good from 25 yards. Now he's spotted at the 17, so it'll be a 27-yard try by Pavlich. Zollinger to hold.
Pavlich will attempt a 27-yard field goal.
Good snap. It's a fake and a first down to Von Cameron. What a well-executed play by Air Force. Just a pitch from Zollinger to Von Cameron, a running back, who picks up the first down at the Notre Dame 5-yard line.
Beautiful fake. Von Cameron is the left blocker. Watch the pitch here. Zollinger, a defensive back. There he comes around, and he's following the guard right up there. And last year, Von Cameron came in the third period and threw a halfback pass for a completion. So he has been very pesky against Notre Dame.
First and goal, Air Force at the Notre Dame 5-yard line. Mix-up in signals, but Lauthan still gets 2 out of it. Despite the mix-up in signals, Marty Lauthan takes it down to around the 3-yard line, where it'll be second down and goal to go. That was a well-conceived fake field goal, George.
Lots of trickery. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. So the blocking back on the left side, the left guard pulled Fred Boutrell, and he followed him right around and picked up the first down.
Second down and goal to go for Air Force. Inside the Notre Dame 3-yard line. Marty Lauthan, senior quarterback. Hands off to Kershner. Touchdown, Air Force on the handoff to John Kershner. So Air Force has stunned Notre Dame and leads 9-0 as the pile-driving fullback John Kershner, the senior from Woodland, California, takes it in.
Watch the fullback, number 32. Straight up blocking by his guard and tackle. Can gets a piece of him, but he's got too much power and gets into the end zone.
John Pavlich will attempt the extra point, we think. Zollinger to hold. 9-0 Air Force. 9 minutes left to play in the first half. Pavlich's extra point attempt is up, and it is good. And with the score, Air Force 10 and Notre Dame nothing. We'll be back after this. Air Force leads 10-0. 9 minutes left to play in the first half. Carlos Mateos will kick off for Air Force. I mispronounced his name earlier. It is Mateos from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and DeJuan Wilson to hold. Blair Keel is going to be the Irish quarterback on this series. He has his helmet on. Alonzo Jefferson will not run this one out. And Notre Dame will have it first and 10 at their own 20-yard line.
There's your scoring drive. 11 plays, 43 yards. 3-yard run by Kershner. But the fake field goal, Greg Zollinger, the holder, flipped a little shovel pass to Von Cameron. He made the first down, and that set up the touchdown by Kershner.
All 4 of Notre Dame's possessions have started on the 20-yard line. Blair Keel now the quarterback, the senior from Columbus, Indiana. Trying to get the Irish moving. Irish down 10-0. Alan Pinkett gets the handoff. Very little there. Pinkett got a couple, and Chris Funk, the defensive tackle, a junior, 228 pounds, out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, making the tackle.
Well, Steve Berline was not moving the club. Pinkett started out running very well, but Steve Berline, on target last week against Penn State, off target the week before against Pitt, was off, and Jerry Faust decided to make a change, and we'll see if Blair Keel can spark his Notre Dame team here.
Second down and 8 call for Blair Keel at the 22-yard line. Keel play action, looking upfield. It is caught. A great catch at the 40-yard line by Milt Jackson. First and 10 Notre Dame at the 40-yard line.
And that's why coaches make changes at the quarterback position. Keel, a senior from Columbus, Indiana. One of the co-captains here wants to go out in a blaze of glory, and he certainly is going to try his darndest out there.
52% passer on the season. Keel has thrown 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's first and 10, the ball at their own 40-yard line. Keel play action, looking upfield, shoots his pass, got his man, Chris Smith, the first down at the Air Force 48-yard line. From Blair Keel to Chris Smith, good for 12 yards and a first down. So Blair Keel, the senior, igniting Notre Dame's offense. The Irish trail 10-0. We have 7:50 to play in the first half.
Well, Keel down 2 for 2.
Joe Howard and Milt Jackson wide to the same side, to the right side. On a 1st and 10 from the Air Force 48-yard line. Alan Pinkett gets the call. Alan Pinkett inside the 30. Pinkett, touch! No, he's not in. He's stopped at the 5-yard line. Well, what a great effort by Alan Pinkett down to the 5. Touchdown saving tackle by Chuck Peterson. Pinkett has already rushed for 96 yards.
There's Scannell making that hole along with Chris Smith. Watch Pinkett turn to the outside. Chuck Peterson, 33, is chasing him. He switches the ball, but Peterson's got the angle and just trips him up. Going out of bounds on the 7-yard line. A great run and a great tackle.
First down and goal to go Notre Dame. They have it at the Air Force 7-yard line. Blair Keel has engineered this drive from their own 20-yard line. Alan Pinkett gets the call. Alan Pinkett, touchdown Notre Dame. Alan Pinkett's 18th touchdown of the year. That's an all-time Notre Dame record. Roaring 20 takes it in from 7 yards out. And there's a happy senior playing in his last game at Notre Dame Stadium. Took him 80 yards in a hurry.
Watch it again. Watch the blocking there. There's Neil Monty. There's Durger. Runs behind Monty. And Pinkett in for the TD.
Mike Johnston will attempt the conversion. Kevin Smith to hold. Rick DiBernardo, the snapper. It's up and it is good. We have 7:23 left to play in the first half with the score. Air Force 10 and Notre Dame 7. We'll be back after this. Air Force leading 10-7, 11:16 left to play in the third quarter. 1st and 10 Notre Dame. They have it at their own 19-yard line. Blair Keel, the senior quarterback. Hands off to Pinkett. Pinkett getting outside. Pinkett on his own effort picks up about 7 or 8 yards to the 28-yard line. Didn't find the hole inside. He went outside. It'll be 2nd down and 2 for Notre Dame. He was knocked out of bounds by Chuck Peterson as we look at the Air Force offensive unit getting their instructions for their next possession. Well, it's 2nd down and 1 as Pinkett was knocked out of bounds where they marked it at the 28-yard line. Alan Pinkett again. Pinkett first down and then some. Pinkett to midfield. Alan Pinkett inside the Air Force 40-yard line. What a tremendous cut by Alan Pinkett. First down, Notre Dame.
Let's watch the blocking. They double team the nose guard. He cuts behind it. Monty slides off the nose guard and picks up Stanberry, who's been in a lot of tackles. And Pinkett cuts behind, and once again it's a foot race with Chuck Peterson, who caught him once before near the goal line.
Ball at the 35-yard line of Air Force. 171 yards rushing for Alan Pinkett. He's not in now. Hiawatha Francisco has replaced him at tailback. Inside handoff to Mark Brooks, and the fullback fights his way for about 3 tough yards before he's brought down by Charlie Heath, the defensive end from Houston.
Charlie Heath, a very versatile player. He played halfback for several years, and then before moving to linebacker.
Alan Pinkett has come back into the Notre Dame lineup offensively on a 2nd down and 6 call. Pinkett needs 69 more yards to become the all-time Notre Dame single-season rushing leader. Second down, 6 call for Blair Keel. Alan Pinkett Pinkett stopped in his tracks, keeps going down to about the 27 on a great individual effort by Pinkett, who appeared to be stopped at the 30-yard line, but he fought down to the 27, and he'll be just a yard shy of the first down.
And Stanberry, the linebacker, number 58 there, he makes the tackle. He can't hang on to him, and Pinkett, using his offhand, the one that doesn't carry the ball, as a pivot, and picks up about 3 or 4 extra crucial yards.
3rd down and 1 from the power I. Calling the signals, Blair Keel on a 3rd and 1. Alan Pinkett, first down and then some for Pinkett, who goes to the 22-yard line. A great block by Chris Smith. Greg Zollinger making the tackle of Pinkett, but it's 1st and 10 Notre Dame at the Air Force 22-yard line.
And running behind the quick guard, Tim Scannell. That Notre Dame offensive line, Harry, is really firing out this 3rd quarter. And once again, we have clock trouble.
Clock trouble at one end of the stadium. At the south end, it's okay. 9:30 left to play here in the 3rd quarter. Air Force leading 10-7. Here's Alan Pinkett again. Pinkett tripped up inside the 20 to about the 19. He tripped over some feet and picked up about 3 yards falling forward.
That was Tim Scannell, who had his legs outstretched. He was making a block, and if Pinkett would have been able to avoid those outstretched legs, I think he could have gone for a long gainer, because everybody was brought over by the movement of the offense.
2nd down and 7 Notre Dame at the 19-yard line of Air Force. Alan Pinkett on a misdirection play, and he has stood up on a fine defensive play by John Ziegler, the defensive tackle, a sophomore from Excelsior, Minnesota.
Ziegler made good penetration. Although he didn't get his arms up to make the tackle, he got in the way of the blockers. The down linemen for the Air Force Academy kind of patterned their stance after the Dallas Cowboys. It's kind of a square stance with both fists down on the ground even and both feet together. And this way they read what's going on in the offense and then react. There's their stance.
3rd down and 8 Notre Dame. They have it at the Air Force 20. Blair Keel has some time, fires behind Mark Bavaro, the intended receiver. Bavaro was well covered by Greg Zollinger, the safety. So it is a 4th down, and Notre Dame will try to tie it with a Mike Johnston field goal. This will be an attempt of 37 yards. 8:01 left to play in the 3rd quarter as Johnston will attempt the 37-yard field goal. Johnston attempted a field goal earlier in the game, had it blocked. Good snap. The ball is spotted. The kick is up, and it is good. And with 7:57 to play in the 3rd quarter, the score, Notre Dame 10, Air Force 10. And we'll be back after this. We're tied at 10 with 5:32 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Gary Faust talking about the Air Force Academy Falcons. This will be the Notre Dame's first drive past their own 20-yard line all afternoon.
Yeah, they have the ball in good field position. There's Mal Moore with the headset on. He's new to the Notre Dame coaching staff, having served at Alabama under Bear Bryant for 18 years. There's head coach Jerry Faust, Blair Keel, Mike Stock, the offensive receiver coach, and they're going over the plan of attack. See whether to put it up in the air or stay on the ground, but Notre Dame has been successful in this half on the ground, so my bet they try to get the running game going again with Alan Pinkett, the Roaring 20.
Pinkett's had another exceptional afternoon, coming off a 217-yard game at Penn State. Pinkett is fast approaching the 200-yard gain mark rushing this afternoon. Blair Keel did not start this game. Freshman Steve Berline did for the first few series, did not move the club, so it's been Kiel since then.
Air Force 189 yards, Pinkett 182.
First and 10 at their own 39-yard line. Alan Pinkett gets the call, has a little bit of a hole, and gets up to the 45-yard line. Pickup of around 6 before he's stopped by Sean Smith. It'll be second down and 4 for Notre Dame, right around their own 45-yard line.
Pinkett ran behind the trapping guard, Tim Scannell. He trapped John Ziegler that time, number 74.
Mike Kelly, junior center, comes over the ball. Wide to the left goes Milt Jackson. Joe Howard wide to the right on a second down and 4 call. Play action delay to Pinkett. Now they shoot a little screen pass to Pinkett, and he gets away from one man. Pinkett to the 40. Pinkett inside the 30. Pinkett to the 10-yard line. What a tremendous effort by Alan Pinkett. He was finally stopped by Dick Clark inside the 10.
Watch the great blocking out here of Mike Shiner, number 74. There he made the block on 37. He slowed Charlie Heath down, and Alan Pinkett with a burst of speed running through and finally being caught by Dick Clark, a linebacker.
First down, goal to go inside the 10-yard line. 4:33 left to play in the third quarter. Tie game at 10. Pinkett getting a breather. Hiawatha Francisco is in the Notre Dame lineup, and Air Force calls timeout. Air Force a little disoriented defensively. They use a timeout, and Kiel will take the time to come back to the bench, and with the timeout, Roaring 20 is going to come right back in, Alan Pinkett. Blair Kiel playing in his last game at Notre Dame Stadium. Senior quarterback from Columbus, Indiana, has come off the bench to spark Notre Dame. Irish trailed 10-0 at one point in this game. Now we're tied at 10. First and goal, Notre Dame. Pinkett is lined up as a slot back on the left side. Handoff to the lone running back, Chris Smith, and he bowls his way to the 5-yard line, where he's stopped by Steve Llewellyn, a sophomore from Bellevue, Washington. Second down and goal to go. Ball just outside the 5-yard line. Now Pinkett is lined up as the tailback behind Chris Smith. Alan Pinkett gets the call, tries to get outside. There's a penalty marker down the play, and Pinkett is swarmed under at the 7-yard line. There's a penalty marker down on the play. Alan Pinkett just could not get away from trouble. He lost a couple of yards on the play. Flag down on the play.
John Ziegler, the defensive right tackle, got a piece of him. We're looking for the call here. That's what Ken Hatfield, there you see him, the head coach of Air Force, thinks about Alan Pinkett.
A holding penalty called against Notre Dame. Now Air Force will have their option. They can either accept the penalty and keep the down at second, or decline the penalty and bring up a third down and goal from the 7. They are going to accept the penalty. It'll move Notre Dame back to the 17-yard line, but the down will remain the same. Second down and goal to go from the 17.
Holding, offense.
Second down, goal to go from the 17-yard line. Joe Howard wide to the left, Milt Jackson wide to the right. A slot on the left is Alan Pinkett, the lone running back, Chris Smith. He gets the call on a draw play, and Smith inside the 10 to the 9-yard line before he's brought down by Tom Stanberry, and it'll be third down and goal to go. Smith averages 5 4/10 yards per carry.
Notre Dame remembering at the end of the half they got down close and Kiel threw an interception. This time they stayed on the ground.
Third down, goal to go from the 9-yard line. Tied at 10 with 3:05 left to play in the third quarter. Play action pass. Keel firing. Great catch by Milt Jackson. Touchdown. What a great grab by sophomore Milt Jackson from Fairfield, Iowa.
Well, there were two Notre Dame players jumping for the ball. In front of them was Barbaro, number 82, and then Chuck Peterson, the right cornerback, was there as we see it. Watch the throw again, a rollout by Blair Keel. There's Peterson, the defender. Now in front of him is Barbaro. He goes for it. But Jackson comes down. A miraculous catch and comes down inbounds.
Inbounds, just a tremendous grab by Jackson. Milt Jackson, a touchdown, his third touchdown reception of the year. The conversion attempt is blocked. That is the first miss for Johnston, and Bob Avila, defensive nose guard, blocked the extra point try. So Notre Dame leads 16-10. Here's a scoring catch again. Watch this magnificent grab by Milt Jackson.
Just what a play. We're looking at it from a defensive angle. Blair Keel rolling out, throws a beautiful pass. There's Barbaro trying to catch it. Jackson catches it over Peterson. Watch him come down with, that's really balance and concentration, Harry.
Came down inbounds in the end zone. Just a sensational grab by Milt Jackson from Fairfield, Iowa. Notre Dame leads 16-10. Another fellow we can watch for 2 more years. Milt Jackson, a sophomore from Fairfield. All of the wide receivers Notre Dame will have coming back with the exception of Mike Favorite.
Well, the Air Force has done a great job on their specialty teams. They blocked a Mike Johnson field goal in the first period. Now they blocked an extra point. First one that Johnson has missed in his career.
And John Carney, the freshman walk-on, will kick off for Notre Dame. Back in safety for Air Force is Jeff Huff. Carney gets a good kickoff away against the wind. Huff at the 5-yard line. And Huff back up to the 19 before he's spilled on the 19-yard line. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Air Force at their own 19.
There's your scoring drive. 6 plays, 61 yards, 9-yard pass. Blair Keel to Milt Jackson, and a great catch.
First down at the 19-yard line for the Air Force Academy. They trail 16-10. Marty Lauthan, the senior quarterback, has Kershner, Brown, and Randy Jones in the backfield with him. Inside handoff, Kershner, nothing there. He stood up initially by Mike Griffin, the freshman nose guard from Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and he was aided by Mike Gann and Mike Goling. It'll be 2nd down for Air Force, the ball at their own 19-yard line. There is Alan Pinkett. Alan Pinkett from Sterling, Virginia, 5'9", 184 yards. What an afternoon he has had. 2nd down, 10, Air Force at their own 19. Huff comes wide to the left. Lauthan, inside handoff again, getting grudging yardage to the 22-yard line. Kershner, the ball carrier, Robert Banks, another freshman, in on the bottom of the pile, and it's 3rd down and 7. Blair Keel talking to the press box upstairs.
Talking to Coach Ron Hudson as we look at the defense.
Almost looked so casual, looked like he was talking to his wife. Blair got married this summer.
The middle of that defensive line really closing it up for Kershner in this 3rd period.
A little surprised Air Force is not going to their option play more frequently. 3rd down and 7 for Air Force at the 22-yard line. Lauthan back to pass. Watts Kirby fires toward him. Caught at the 39-yard line. 1st down. Well thrown pass from Lauthan to Kirby, and Chris Brown making the tackle.
Watch Kirby. They have him doubled there. Turan has him. He fakes to the inside, comes to the outside. He's got good speed. Now he's in front of Chris Brown. A good throw, a good catch, and he's really tough to catch, and that's why he's their leading receiver.
First down and 10, Air Force at their own 38-yard line. Average is 23 and 1/10 yards per catch, does Kirby. Louthan on a first down call. And off, he runs into Brown. Brown runs right into Louthan, and he's spilled for a loss of a couple of yards on the play back at the 36-yard line.
You see the stutter step to the left. Louthan got too deep, or Brown wasn't deep enough. One of them had to make a mistake. They'll find out when they look at the movies.
Second down and 12, Air Force. They have it at their own 36-yard line. Louthan on a second and 12 call. Hand off Kershner, got some running room up over the 40 to about the 42-yard line before he's brought down. And that'll be the last play of the third quarter. Kershner picking up on the play about 5 yards, bringing up a third down and long for Air Force. And that's the end of the third quarter from Notre Dame Stadium. With the score, Notre Dame 16, Air Force 10. We'll be back after this. Notre Dame leading Air Force 16-10. Third down and 6 for Air Force. Alan Pinkett having another banner day. Needs 52 yards to break the all-time Notre Dame single-season rushing record held by Vegas Ferguson.
Notre Dame's unbeaten hockey team will take on St. Thomas tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 at the ACC.
It'll be a third down and long 6 call for Air Force at their own 42-yard line. Kirby goes wide to the right. Huff is wide to the left on a third down call. Starting the fourth and final quarter from Notre Dame Stadium. Louthan rolling out, looking upfield, going to try to run for it. Penalty marker down. Brilliant defensive play by Mike Gann. There is a penalty marker down. What a fine effort by Mike Gann. Against Air Force, Notre Dame will decline and bring up a punting situation. Great defensive effort by Gann on that play.
Mike Gann with his 6'5" frame, 256. He can really move it. Now Louthan is no slowpoke. Watch Gann chase him. He gets a hold of his jersey there, and with great persistence pulls him down. Notre Dame going to refuse the holding penalty. It'll be fourth down, a kicking situation.
Illegal use of hands. Offense declined. Fourth down.
Jeff Kubiak does the punting for Air Force. Back in safety for Notre Dame is Joe Howard. Kubiak will be punting into a wind of about 15 to 20 miles per hour. But he is an outstanding punter. Witness his average today, 46.8. Good snap. Kubiak, a high, fine punt. Joe Howard at the 19-yard line squirts back up to the 24, where it'll be first down for Notre Dame at their own 24-yard line. A 42-yard punt into the wind with great hang time by Kubiak. Notre Dame first and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Blair Keel will be the quarterback. He has engineered all of the Irish scoring drives this afternoon. First downs dead even. Mark Brooks and Alan Pinkett, the running backs behind Blair Keel. Keel play action. Fires to Milt Jackson. First down at the 39-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by DeJuan Wilson. From Blair Keel to Milt Jackson, good enough for a first down.
Excellent call by the Notre Dame bench. Air Force looking for a run. Notre Dame crossed them up. Coach Faust regaining confidence in the senior co-captain Blair Keel from Columbus, Indiana. Milt Jackson 5 catches. Keel having a fine day.
First and 10, Notre Dame, fumbling the snap, and Keel falls on it himself. He was immediately covered by Charlie Heath, a loss of a yard on the play. And it'll be second down and 11 for Notre Dame. Ball at their own 38-yard line.
Yeah, Keel now 10 for 13, one interception, one TD. Good day. Came in the second quarter, replacing Steve Berline.
Second down, 11, Notre Dame. They have it at their own 37-yard line. The Irish lead 16-10. Penalty markers down. Keel rolling out, gets past midfield. Well-conceived play, but there are markers down all over the field, and this is going to be brought back. Misdirection play. The flow going to the left, and Keel rolling out on a reverse to his right. Had a lot of running room, but it's an illegal procedure penalty, and that'll bring that one back. So it'll be a second down and 16 call for Keel now, back at the 33-yard line.
Illegal procedure. Offense, still first down.
Well, actually, it's second down, Mr. Official, because Blair Keel had fumbled a snap. Second down and 15, Notre Dame. They have the ball at their own 33-yard line. Irish leads 16-10. Keel gets a pass away, way over the head of his intended receiver. I think Milt Jackson, he was expecting to go to the sideline, and Jackson did not. He went to the middle, and ball thrown in an area where no one was, so it'll be third down and 15.
And Zollinger had Mark Bavaro covered pretty well, and Blair Keel did not want to risk an interception, so he just threw it away. Third down conversions. Notre Dame 5 of 9, Air Force 5 of 12.
Notre Dame has a third and 15 here, with Howard going wide to the right, Milt Jackson wide to the left. Keel straight back to pass. He has some time. He's going for the bundle to Joe Howard. He's got it. Touchdown, Notre Dame. A 67-yard bomb from Blair Keel to Joe Small Wonder Howard.
And ironically, Air Force only rushed 2 men, and Keel had all dime to throw. And Chuck Peterson, 33, who has made many a saving tackle. Watch this. Only 2 men rushing. See, the nose guard drops off. Keel, all the time in the world, throws to Joe Howard. He's got Chuck Peterson beat. A beautiful throw and catch, and in for the touchdown.
67 yards. Here's Small Wonder.
Puts a move on Peterson, an inside move. Peterson trying to stay with him. Perfectly thrown into the end zone, and there are some flags on the field.
I think Notre Dame will be called for delay of game with the extra people on the field celebrating the touchdown.
Well, it's been a long drought.
For Joe Howard, his second touchdown catch of the year. Now the conversion attempt, and Notre Dame will go for a 2-point conversion, leading 22-10. One running back behind Blair Keel. Alan Pinkett coming in motion. Keel rolling out. He looks toward the end zone, gets it away. A wobbly pass, and incomplete, and the 2-point conversion is not good. It was intended for Milt Jackson. So Notre Dame will have a 12-point lead with 13:36 left to play. With the score, Notre Dame 22, Air Force 10. We'll be back after this. Metro Sports is proud to announce its coverage of the second annual Aloha Bowl Classic, Monday night, December 26th at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 Pacific Time. Great college football live via satellite from beautiful Honolulu. That's the Aloha Bowl exclusively from Metro Sports. Notre Dame leading by 12, 22-10. The penalty assessed on the kickoff for delay of game, so Kearney will be kicking it from the 25-yard line, and Air Force should come out with pretty good field position as a result of the penalty. Back in safety is Jeff Hupp for Air Force. Notre Dame a 12-point lead. A 67-yard touchdown bomb from Blair Keel to Joe Howard, the last touchdown. The one before that, a great reception by Milt Jackson.
Scoring drive, 5 plays, 74 yards, 1 minute and 19 seconds. Just a picture book pass and catch. Blair Keel, 67 yards to Joe Howard.
Well, what a day for the senior quarterback who lost his job to Steve Berline in the 4th game this season as a starting quarterback, to come back in his final game at Notre Dame Stadium and have the kind of day he has had. 11 for 15, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I believe that's the leprechaun, Notre Dame's leprechaun down on the field. He must have got tangled up in the crowd when Notre Dame scored that touchdown.
Certainly hope he's not seriously injured.
Right.
Penalty after the touchdown was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty called against the student body for going on the field following the Notre Dame touchdown. So Kearney will be kicking off from the 25-yard line. And George with a 12-point lead. There's still plenty of time in the 4th quarter, but it almost kind of takes Air Force out of their game, which is to rush the ball and use up a lot of the clock. They may be forced to throw, which they don't like to do.
They don't like to do it, and their throwing formation, the flex bone, is not a good throwing formation. So we'll see what they do after this kickoff.
Ed Carty is ready to kick off for Notre Dame. Irish lead 22-10. Carty, a good kickoff, sends Huff all the way back to the 11-yard line. Huff back up to the 20. Hiawatha Francisco nails him at the 24. Great coverage by Francisco. Good kickoff by Carty. Air Force 1st and 10. They have the ball at their own 25-yard line. 13:30 left to play. Notre Dame leads the Air Force Academy 22-10. So despite the penalty assessed on the kickoff, Air Force does not come out with real great field position, thanks to a good kickoff by Carney and fine coverage by Hiawatha Francisco. 1st and 10 Air Force at their own 25. Counter play to Brown. Got some running room before he's hit with a sure tackle by Pat Ballage at the 30-yard line. A gain of 5 by Brown. It'll be 2nd down and 5 Air Force. They have it at their own 30-yard line. Mike Brown, not big, very elusive runner. 10 carries, 81 yards. That's about his average this year. He averages 8 2/10 yards per carry. 2nd down and 5 for Air Force. Kershner inside handoff. Nope, he can't get by Mike Gann. What an afternoon Mike Gann has had. Kershner gets 1 yard to the 31-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 4, and Gann has made a ton of tackles.
Gann, Griffin, Golick, all of them up front. Really putting the stop on Kershner in this half.
3rd down and 4 for Air Force. They have it at their own 31-yard line. Kirby goes wide to the left. Louthan on an option play, pitches back to Brown, and he has the first down over the 35-yard line. Knocked out on the 37, but enough yardage for the first down. Knocked out by Chris Brown. 1st and 10, Air Force. They have it at their own 37-yard line. So Air Force sticking to their ground game. They are second in the nation in rushing coming into this week's action. 335 yards per game.
They're going to stay with what they know they can do best until maybe the time clock forces them out of their game plan.
Right now, 12:03 left to play. Notre Dame showing blitz. Penalty marker down the play. The handoff goes to Randy Jones, who bursts his way to the 48-yard line before he stopped, but there is a marker down on the play. And the penalty will be called against Air Force. Illegal motion against Air Force, so that'll cost them 5, and it'll bring on a 1st down and 15. Notre Dame 22, Air Force 10. Irish trying to finish the season at 7-4. There you see the penalties. Notre Dame penalized for 61 yards, Air Force for 26. And the 7-4 Fighting Irish of Notre Dame are slated to go to the Liberty Bowl to face Boston College.
Rick DiBernardo getting a lot of playing time along with Robert Banks in there at linebacker. Banks a freshman, DiBernardo a sophomore.
1st down 15 for Air Force. Louthan, play action, back to pass, fires it, it's picked off. Oh, it's caught in and out of the hands of Brown and into the hands of Kirby for a 1st down, Air Force. Chris Brown had a dead interception. He couldn't come up with it. It goes right into Kirby's hand.
Chris Brown had a sure interception here. He cuts in front of Mike Kirby. There it is, right through his hands. And Kirby, the great receiver that he is, makes the catch for a reception.
And a 1st down, Air Force at their own 48-yard line. Kirby 3 catches, 51 yards. Louthan calls signals on a 1st down from his own 48. Louthan on the option play, and Louthan keeps and gets into Notre Dame territory to the Irish 49-yard line, a pickup of around 3 before he's stopped by Tony Furjanic. 2nd down and 7 for Air Force. The Notre Dame 49-yard line. 10:52 and counting. The Irish lead Air Force 22-10.
Gain of 3 yards.
Mike Kirby comes back in for Air Force. Going out is Tom Coleman. Kirby, the senior from Miami, Florida, goes wide to the left. Louthan back to pass. He wants his only receiver. Kirby's wide open. Kirby, touchdown, Air Force. A 49-yard touchdown strike from Louthan to Mike Kirby. For Kirby, his 2nd touchdown catch of the year. And it's now 22-16, Notre Dame. Amazing how he's the only wideout in Air Force's offensive alignment, but he was wide open.
He was an excellent blocking. Louthan faked the play action, and Kirby ran an up and in, and he just outran the Notre Dame defense. Good throw and catch.
Sean Pavlich will attempt the conversion. Zollinger to hold. The kick is up. He kicks him really high, and he missed that one wide to the left. Pavlich misses the extra point. And with the score, Notre Dame 22, Air Force 16. We'll be back after this. 6:52. And Notre Dame leading by 6. Jerry Faust with a headset on. Both teams do have a lot at stake. Air Force 7-2 coming into this one. Notre Dame 6-4. Air Force a good defensive stand on Notre Dame's last possession. aided by some penalties. There's offensive tackle Scott Wackenheim, senior from Woodland Hills, California. First down at the 25-yard line for Air Force. Marty Laupin, senior quarterback, coming in. Mike Kirby goes wide to the left. First down for the Falcons at their own 25-yard line. Laupin on the option play. Good defensive play by Greg Dingens. Dingens had the quarterback, and he really had Laupin corralled for a loss of a couple of yards on the play. 2nd and 12.
Well, he got between Laupin, the quarterback, and Randy Jones, where Laupin could not make the pitch. See him? He's got him on the outside, and Laupin could not pitch to his halfback, Randy Jones, and he had to fall down with the ball. Laupin now 6 for 11, 118 yards.
2nd down and 12 for Air Force at their own 23-yard line. Inside handoff, Brown. He's got some running room. Brown being chased by Joe Johnson. Finally corralled by Johnson, but not before he has the ball to the Notre Dame 34-yard line. Mike Brown on a quick opener. Stopped by Johnson.
Mike Brown, there's a good block on Furjanic. He cuts to the outside. He goes in behind Dingens. Mike Brown, a speedster. Now 12 carries, 132 yards, and he's caught from behind by Joe Johnson.
Ball at the Notre Dame 34-yard line, 1st and 10 Air Force. Laupin calls signals. On the option play, pitches back to Brown. Brown stopped on a sure tackle by Stacy Turan. Stacy Turan coming up from his cornerback spot to make a fine hit after a gain of about 1 or 2 on the play. 2nd down and 8.
Joe Johnson went in and forced that pitch by Laupin, and some of those pitches, Harry, are getting close to being forward pitches.
They really are. Mike Kirby goes out of the Air Force lineup. Coming in to replace him is Tom Coleman. And a late substitution coming in for Air Force is Huff, and he goes right back out. And now Air Force is forced to use a timeout as they are confused offensively.
Very costly timeout. They had to use one defensively, and now they're down to 1.
5:21 left to play. Notre Dame leading Air Force 22-16. 5:21 remaining to be played. 2nd down and 8 call for Marty Laupin. He sends Huff wide to the left. Laupin inside handoff Kershner, and he has a first down to the 23-yard line of Notre Dame. Finally stopped by Robert Banks. But Air Force a 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame 23-yard line.
Well, that Air Force running game, they don't fool around. They just line up. They practically tell you where they're coming, and they make it work.
Notre Dame's lead is 6 points. Less than 5 minutes left to be played. Kirby goes wide to the left on a 1st down and 10. Counter play to Brown. Brown gets down to around the 16-yard line. A pickup of substantial yardage by Brown before he stopped by Furjanic and Ballage. But Brown getting about 8 yards on the carry. What a day Mike Brown has had. Not a big one, but he's a fleet one. 5'9", 174 out of Kansas City, Missouri.
And he was forced into the game when Jody Simmons, the regular halfback, was dropped from the squad for disciplinary reasons. Hatfield is a tough coach. And Brown earlier in this year was dropped from the squad for several games for the same reason.
2nd down and 2. They give it to their fullback Kershner, and he barrels his way to the 14. He'll be close to a 1st down, stopped by Mike Gann. So Air Force just lining it up and saying, here we come.
don't have big linemen up front. The center's Oberdick. Rutel is a guard. Melcher, Weigand, and Wackenheim at the tackles. But they are excellent blockers.
Third down and about a yard to go for a first down for Air Force at the Notre Dame 14-yard line. Actually less than a yard, about a half a yard. That much time left. Marty Louthan gives it to Kershner, and Kershner has the first down to the Irish 12-yard line. Stopped by Perjanik, but it is first down, Air Force at the Notre Dame 12. Irish trying to make a defensive stand here. Their lead, bear in mind, is 6 points.
Kershner now 74 yards and 18 carries. The Air Force started this drive on their own 40-yard line with 6:52 in the game. Now there's 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes left.
They really control the clock. First down 10. This is Brown, and Brown gets down to the 5-yard line before he is brought down. A gain of 7 by Mike Brown. Chris Brown finally stopped him, but not before he picked up 7 or 8.
Watch Brown cut behind. He gets in the seam there. Good block on Gann there. The little guy, only 5'9", 174, but he's driving like a power fullback.
Second down and 2 for a first down, 4 for a touchdown for Air Force.
Remember that Louthan has scored 15 touchdowns this year. He loves to run the ball.
Inside handoff, Kershner, and Kershner is close to a first down. Rick DiBernardo making the tackle. It is marked just shy of the 2-yard line. And now a timeout is called by the officials. Timeout evidently, no, a timeout is called by Notre Dame. Notre Dame calls time to stop the clock with 2:05 left. With the score, Notre Dame 22, Air Force 16. We'll be back after this. Notre Dame leading by 6 with 2:05 left. Air Force with a ball at the Irish 2.5-yard line, a half yard to go for a first down, 2.5 to go for a touchdown. Air Force has had a steady drive using the clock, most of the ground being picked up by their fine little scat back Mike Brown, number 3. Third down, a half a yard to go for the first down. Air Force third down conversion 7 for 14. Notre Dame 7 for 11. Mike Kirby goes wide to the left. Third down. Louthan calls signals. Goes to his bread and butter man Kershner, and Kershner is stopped at the 1-yard line, but he has a first down, and they'll have 4 wraps from the 1-yard line to try to get it in.
Watch their guards fire out along with their center down Oberdick. Kershner driving. Johnson trying to get in there and make the tackle along with Banks. Makes the first down.
So they have 4 plays to move it 1 yard and can take the lead because Notre Dame is ahead by just 6 with 1:50 left to play.
And they really don't want to score too early. They want to score, but they want to run more of this clock out.
1:42 and counting on a first down and goal to go. Louthan hands to Kershner, bowls his way in, touchdown Air Force. John Kershner's 7th rushing touchdown of the year. And Air Force has tied this game with just 1:35 left to play. And Sean Pavlich, their place kicker, can put the Air Force Academy Falcons ahead.
Watch Kershner, he bounces off Gann and Banks. Watch him there. There you see Gann falling off the pile. He gets his second win and drives in. Drives past Golick, and it's a score for the Falcons.
Great effort by Kershner. Troy Wilson coming on defensively for Notre Dame to try to block this extra point try. Sean Pavlich has missed one this afternoon. This one is up, and it's wide to the left. It is wide to the left. There are penalty markers down on the play, however. Penalty markers down on the play, and I think the penalty is against Notre Dame. It is, so Pavlich will get another chance to put Air Force on top. Penalties have really hurt the Irish in the fourth quarter. Pavlich gets another shot at it. Zollinger to hold. Doing the snapping
Defense
is
offside.
Derek
Replay the
Brown.
try.
Pavlich really gets under that ball. He kicks him so high.
Good snap, it's spotted, it's up, and it's good. And Air Force with a second chance has taken the lead. A minute 35 left to play. It is Air Force 23, Notre Dame 22.
Well, Harry, in Blair Keel's freshman year here at Notre Dame, which was 1980, he took a Notre Dame team from behind, and they beat Michigan 29-27 with no time on the clock by a Harry Oliver field goal. Let's see if history can maybe repeat itself.
Mateos gets a low driving kickoff. It's scooped up by Milt Jackson, and Milt Jackson's going to run out of bounds on the far side at around the 30-yard line, so Keel will have 70 yards to traverse in a minute and 30 seconds, or to try to get into field goal range. Ball at the 29-yard line.
Now, Penn State has not been rushing more than 3 men on defense. They prefer to drop back and cover with extra backs and linebackers. So Keel should have plenty of time unless the Air Force changes their tactics.
First down 10, Notre Dame at their own 29-yard line, trailing by a point with a minute 30 left to play. Keel trying to pull one off here at Notre Dame Stadium in his final game. Back to pass. They pick up the blitz. Gets it away. Caught by Alan Pinkett. Alan Pinkett to the 45-yard line. First down. He was wrestled to the ground by Tom Stanberry. First down, Notre Dame at their own 45-yard line. A hurry-up huddle.
Stanberry's been in on a lot of tackles, and he had Pinkett right from behind. Air Force rushing 4 down linemen.
Blair Keel back to pass, has good protection. Sideline pattern to Pinkett. Pinkett steps out of bounds at the 42-yard line of Air Force. First down, Notre Dame. A minute 15 left to play.
There's Alan Pinkett out of the backfield. He's wide open out here. He's calling for the ball from Blair Keel. Now he doesn't know whether to cut up inside. He sees the inside covered, so he very smartly steps out of bounds.
Ball at the Air Force 42-yard line. First and 10, Notre Dame. Blair Keel, the senior. Inside handoff to Chris Smith. Breaks a tackle. Smith to the 30-yard line. First down, Notre Dame, as Smith rushes for 12 yards.
Good call by the Notre Dame bench. Notre Dame trying to cross up the Air Force, caught him in a blitz, and Smith rushing for good yardage.
Mike Johnston loosening up on the sideline. Keel straight back to pass. Fires one, caught by Alan Pinkett. Alan Pinkett dropped at the 20-yard line. He'll be close to a first down. Stopped by Sean Smith. And already they should be close to Mike Johnston's field goal range. What a drive by senior quarterback Blair Keel. Keel with 1:30 showing on the clock started this drive at his own 29. Now there are still 52 seconds, and he has it down to the Air Force 20-yard line. Keel has thrown for 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 for 23.
Well, Blair Keel in his freshman year did it against Michigan, 29-27, and he's trying to repeat history today.
And what do you suppose is going through the mind of senior Mike Johnston from Rochester, New York?
Well, I know Harry Oliver's parents left the stadium when he kicked his field goal.
First and 10 Notre Dame at the 20-yard line of Air Force. Blair Keel hands off to Alan Pinkett. Nothing there. Pinkett back to the 20-yard line, was stopped in his tracks by Sean Smith. 36 seconds and Notre Dame will use a timeout. They still have one remaining. Blair Keel trying to pull one out, and this is his final game at Notre Dame Stadium. The senior quarterback from Columbus, Indiana, brings him out. Second down and 10. The Air Force 20-yard line. Inside handoff to Chris Smith. He's to the 15-yard line where it'll be third down and 5. He got it in the middle of the field. Greg Zollinger making the tackle. And Notre Dame has not used the timeout yet. 20 seconds and counting. And now Keel doesn't know what to do. And I guess they're going to run the clock down and then have the game end with a field goal try by Mike Johnston.
Looking to the sideline, begging for a play.
Calls timeout with 4 seconds showing on the clock. So, Mr. Johnston, the game is in your hands. This is also his last game at Notre Dame Stadium. It's also the last game for the holder, Kevin Smith. Not for the snapper. The snapper is Rick DiBernardo. So it all boils down to this field goal try, which will be a 32-yard attempt by Mike Johnston with 4 ticks on the clock.
What a way to end a career.
Mike Johnston, featured in the Notre Dame program. Fine column written by Chuck Freeby. And Johnston can end his career at Notre Dame in dramatic fashion. It'll be a 32-yard attempt.
And watch Air Force to try and block this kick up the middle where they blocked it before.
Johnston does have the wind with him. He's kicked 12 field goals this year. And this, the most important of his career. And very, very important for that man, third-year coach Jerry Faust.
Now,
Air Force uses their last timeout to make Johnston think a little more about it. So Air Force using their last timeout. They know it boils down to this play. And they are setting themselves defensively. They will set themselves defensively in an all-out effort to try to block this field goal try by Mike Johnston. George, I thoroughly enjoyed again working with you on Fighting Irish football throughout 1983.
Well,
it's beautiful man.
Harry, it's my pleasure, and of course I'm feeling much better this year than I did a year ago, and let's do it again next year.
I sure hope so. And you couldn't end a season in more dramatic fashion than this. It boils down to a 32-yard field goal attempt from Mike Johnston. There's Mike, trying to look as cool as a cucumber, but it's impossible. His heart's got to be beating a mile a minute. Jerry Faust doesn't want to look.
Well, in 1980, Harry Oliver's parents left the stadium. Look at the number of people over the head of the center.
Here it is. DiBernardo to snap. Kevin Smith to hold. It's down. The kick is partially blocked and not good. And Air Force has won the game by a point, 23-22, as again they have partially blocked a game-winning field goal attempt by Mike Johnston. A big win for Ken Hatfield. A devastating loss for Jerry Faust as Notre Dame had a last gasp drive. We're in field goal range. Nothing Johnson could do about it. It was partially blocked. So that's the end of the game with a final score. Air Force 23, Notre Dame 22.